Well, it is coming along. Might not look like it to you, but already just briefly went over with the wire wheel, and it actually looks a lot better than what it did. It's pretty crusty looking. So you can see the radiator support is off, and the radiator supports were so rusted. Basically, I just lifted the radiator up and off without taking out the bolts, because the whole rusted mounts just came up with the whole support. Didn't have to do anything. So slowly but surely cleaning it up. I've removed, there was a cross member here that sits under the cab where the rear cab mounts and the bushings sit. So I removed that so I can clean it up really good, because that's going to be an important one. Between that and the front cabs supports, cab mounts, those need to get cleaned up good. Leaf springs, the actual leaves are going to get cleaned up and reused. The hangers are shot. Okay, they're going to get replaced, but the actual leaves are fine. I'm going to remove this cross member yet and that cross member, just to make life even easier and make sure to get all the little nooks and crannies. It'll make the job a lot easier. But other than that, she's almost ready. But the nice thing about these is that are most of the components attached to the frame is they kind of have these rivets here, and you just grind those off, pop them out, and then replace them with bolts. So if you ever in the future need to go and replace it, it's much simpler. You just take the bolts out. So that's all there is to it, but it's coming along. Next step is going to be to get it in the garage, get it up on stands, and get the axles and the leaves off. So here we go. So she's in the garage now. She's up on stands. Got the leaf springs off, got the axles off, and sanded it down and wire wheeled it down one last time. So now it's ready for the asphalt. And now, as you can see, this is not a complete restoration, alright? Basically, this truck needed the cab replaced. The cab was shot. It was so rusted out. And if we're taking the cab off, might as well do something to clean up the frame, at least a little bit. So this is not going to be a show quality restoration. This is a simple, practical restoration. Okay, we just need the working truck, and when it's done, it'll be in much better condition and in a much better state than it ever was. Now the next step here is to asphalt the frame. And if you don't know what asphalt is a phosphoric acid, and it reacts with the rust, and it creates a new metal that is paintable, and it prevents the rust from spreading even more. So I was going to do a pour 15. I did some research online, and some people had horror stories with pour 15, and some people absolutely loved it. But everyone who used asphalt said it worked great. So what we're going to do is we're going to asphalt it. That's going to react with the rust, and then we're going to prime it and paint it using Rust-Oleum, rusty metal primer, and Rust-Oleum paint. So all rattle can, just spray paint, spray bomb the whole thing, and that's as good as it's going to get. But I'll show you. I know this garage is a complete mess right now. So this is the asphalt. It's about $25 a gallon on Amazon. and that's about it. So it says to apply it and wait 24 hours, and then it's ready for primer. But what I'm going to do is, I've heard and what I've read online is you need to wash it down after it's dried. So after the 24 hours, I'm just going to take a wet rag and just wipe it down. Ideally, you like to power wash it or wash it off with a hose or whatever, but we're not in a situation to do that. So we're just going to asphalt here real quick, and then we're going to let it dry, and then I'm going to wipe it down, and then we're going to prime. So here we go. Here it is a day later. As you can see, for the most part, it's kind of turned a black, blackish color, gray in some spots. So it seems to have done this job. Now you can go over it with additional coats of the asphalt, but it's about how much time you want to stick into it. See right here, it turns kind of an odd color. From what I read and seen online, that's normal. But anyways, like I said, you can put as many coats as you want. I'm just going to stick with the one. We're going to do a Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer, and then we'll put a top coat on. So I'm going to just wipe it down with a rag now that it's dry. Wipe it down with a rag, let it dry, and then hit it with the primer. So here we are 2 days later. Primer's on. It looks really good. Everything turned out well, so let's go ahead and put the top coat on. So the top coat is on. Turned out really well. No issues. Looks really good. As you can see, got the new leaf spring hangers for the back leaves for the front side. Got them on, and I have the hanger here for the front leaf springs. I had to replace that as well. So it's coming together. Looks good. Looks really good with the new paint. I really like how it turned out. Of course, it looks better farther away because you can still see all the pitting and whatnot from the rust, but it looks way better than it did, and it seems like it adhered really well. The whole Asphalt and the Rust-Oleum primer and paint, it's a good combination. So now we're on to getting the axles. I got them cleaned up outside. I'm going to bring them in, put them back on. I already asphalted them. I cleaned them up, asphalted them. We're gonna bring them in. We're gonna put them on the frame here, and then we're gonna primer and paint them while it's on the frame. So let's get to work.